My name is Kristina Circelli. I am the author of 13 novels that span all kinds of genres, from fantasy to young adult to suspense.
Welcome to Angel Air. My name is Anita Mayberry. Thank you so much for tuning in to this exact same moment, time, and place. We are in the beautiful sunshine state of Florida here with a lovely published author, the lovely Kristina Circelli.
Thank you.
She is an amazing author. She works for a copywriting company, and she has so many beautiful, amazing published books that are out there currently right now, and a few of them, as you can see, are right in front of us. I personally want to say, Kristina, thank you so much for being on Angel Air today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I thank you. It's such an honor. And I just would like our guests who are tuning in right now to know that Angel Air always loves to spread its wings and fly and expand upon new realms and new dimensions and new beautiful beings that are here creating a difference and impacting humanity. And I just want to let Kristina know that she is here and she sheds so much beautiful light and energy through her books. One of them that I'm actually reading is called Damsel Not, and I have to say, this book is so gripping that it sucked me in the first page, and I'm having such a wonderful time reading it, and I love the character is in it, and you guys got to check her out because the book just takes you to a place that allows your mind to be open and experience the beautiful words and wisdom that Kristina puts in her books. And I would love for you, Kristina, if you don't mind, letting us know about how you became engrossed in your storylines with some of these books, because I know some of them have, meanings to you. Obviously, all of them do, but some of them actually might entail a little bit of spirituality in them. And I would love for our viewers to hear what you may have to say about the books that you have presented before us today.
Okay. I have several novels. I have upwards of 13 now. So these three in particular it's a series, The Whisper Legacy. So Beyond the Western Sun is the first one, then Walk the Red Road, and then Into the Shadow Realm. These books in particular are very special to me because they reflect my Native American culture. I have a history of Cherokee and Creek, but primarily Cherokee. My great uncle is an elder, so I grew up with him telling me a lot of the stories, the creation stories, but also just different legends.
Wow.
Teaching me part of the language. So unfortunately it's not used very often.
Yeah.
So I can't say that I'm fluent in it, but I can say some basic things, some prayers. Probably not very well, but I at least know some of them. So with this series, Beyond the Western Sun was my second published book.
Okay.
And I had the story, or the character of Whisper, she's the main character, in my head for a while. And I knew what I wanted her to be. She's kind of the embodiment of that culture, but in today's world.
Wow.
She's a young woman who follows the old ways, but old ways aren't really followed now. So I really wanted to build a good story around her, and it resulted in Beyond the Western Sun. So it's about a woman, Whisper, who leads a man into the land of the dead, or a spirit realm, to save his son's soul. And the different, mostly Cherokee stories that come to life in the spirit world to either help or hinder them.
Wow.
But throughout the entire book, there's that whole dichotomy of the Cherokee girl who follows the old ways and the white man who doesn't understand. So there's that clash of cultures.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's a big theme of that first one, is her teaching him about her ways and her beliefs and how those beliefs save his son, or don't they? I don't want to tell you what happens. And then the other books follow Whisper on kind of her journey.
Oh, that's lovely. I think it's beautiful too that you go back into your heritage and into your culture, and being able to take the knowledge that you have and and your exposure, what you've been able to experience so far, and put that into your books, because I always find that, putting your spirituality and your feelings and your emotions into it, people feel that.
Oh, yep.
And I'm sure that you've gotten many responses back from your books about, people who have read them and, their experiences with them. And I think that's just wonderful.
Yeah, there's people who don't know anything about it, and they've said they love learning about new cultures. The first one is mostly Cherokee, so it was a little easier because I knew the stories.
Yeah.
But the second and third get more into different tribes, so I had to do a little more research there. But I like being able to explore kind of all of the cultures and kind of weave them together. And then even people who are Native American, they love that there's a book about them, because there's a lot of books about Native Americans.
Yeah.
But it's nice every time you have a new representation. So it's
nice and
yeah, been really good feedback. And actually, Beyond the Western Sun is taught in a couple of middle schools.
Oh my gosh!
And because they have
awesome is that?
they have cultural classes or cultural segments of their lesson plans each year. So it's a good example of that that cultural representation.
Well, I think that's so interesting, because not only have you empowered yourself to do your work, you're empowering others and you're empowering children. I mean, that's just awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
I mean, to be able to hear, the feedback from the kids and have somebody who wants to be an inspired writer, and you're helping to guide them along their way. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I think that's just wonderful. And I also think that, you being able to be in the schools and presenting yourself in a physical form, saying, I am real.
Yep.
I do exist. These books are tangible. You can do anything that you set your mind to do.
Yeah, when I was in middle school, we read all these books, but we never got to really meet any authors. And now there's so many indie authors or self-published authors they're so happy to go to schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges, and it happens so much more now. Like we just, we go off and we talk to these kids, and it's a lot of fun. They ask us to come back, and so we really enjoy it.
I think it's great too, connecting with that, because it's like, kids have these vast imaginations, and when they, even by parents or by adults or even by, certain school teachers, maybe saying, well, maybe you should think about something else. That kind of ruffles my feathers, because I'm like, here's a child literally speaking in English or whatever language it is that's, understandable, saying that, this is something that I'm really enjoying doing. And, when you go back home, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. I'm like, no, let the child speak. They're coming and they're pouring their soul out, and what they really find is so important.
Let them have their dreams is the way I see it. I told everyone I'm going to have a book published before I graduate high school. And every person who said, no, you won't, made me want to do it more. When I did publish a book before I graduated high school, I was kind of able to hold it up and be like, ha, in your face,
That's awesome.
But for me, hearing that pushed me. But for a lot of other people, it kind of just kicks them down. So I want to do the opposite. I want to tell them, you want to publish before high school? We'll make it happen.
You're like the enforcer. You come in and you're like, you tell me what the dream is, and if I can help you, I'm going to do it. I think that's wonderful. Thank you, sweetheart, for sharing that. And it's so beautiful too, because it's like we're all here on this planet, and it's like we're all here to help each other in some way, and connecting with each other, and helping your neighbor, helping a friend, helping a loved one, helping a family member, whoever it is, and just saying, it's okay, and offer your hand and pick the person up instead of kicking them down and keeping them there, like you mentioned. It's like, how can we help each other? And it doesn't mean that they have to be your age. It can be, a little crawling baby, or it can be a toddler. It can be anybody.
It can be, some of my best author friends, they're, 60s, 50s.
Wow.
And it was just a goal they had their entire life to write a book, and now they're able to. So it's really all ages.
That's awesome. And I think that spectrum is great, offering the tools and giving the knowledge. And you've gained so much at such a young age. So
learned a lot over the past few years, that's for sure.
One of the big things that's important to me is kind of fostering creativity and imagination, and just the whole concept of following your dreams in younger readers. One of the events I do every year is at a middle school, one where they read Beyond the Western Sun. And we bring in a group of authors from just kind of throughout Florida, really, anyone who's able to come. And we spend the whole day talking to different middle school kids about writing and publishing. And I mean, things have changed so much, even since I was first published in 2004. There's this huge culture now with the indie community and self-publishing, and it's so much easier to get your voice out there now. But younger kids don't know that. They don't know the process, they don't understand it. And I know when I first started, if I had somebody who could kind of help me through, it would have been so much easier and I would have learned things so much faster. But more than that, so often kids are told they can't do something.
Yes.
You know, they're too young. They're too young to do this. This is just a pipe dream. You know, things like that, and it just really dampens all of that creativity. So that's one thing that I love to do is tell them it doesn't matter if you're 12 years old. You know, if you want to be an author, you be an author. And it's great because one year, the first year that we did this talk at the middle school, there was a sixth grader, I believe. And he shared this idea of a story, and great idea. And you know, he kind of said, I can really make this into a book. And we said, absolutely, here's how. And we went back the next year, and he was there, 7th grade, and he stood up and he said, do you remember me from last year? I told you my story. And we said, of course we do. You know.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I wrote it into a book. And it's great to hear things like that. And so now he's, you know, he wants to keep going. And you know, we kind of told him the process. You know, you want to make sure someone edits it and do this and do that. And you know, who cares? You're only 7th grade. You can do it if you want to.
Those children love to use their imagination and their creative side. So what's so great about that is that you're able to bring that energy into schools and allowing the children to be a part of that, and they get to read that. And I think that's just awesome.
It's a lot of fun. And actually one year, one of the assignments was for them, because they read the book, and one of the assignments was for them to pull out one of their favorite scenes and draw it.
Are you serious? Did you get to see the drawings?
I got to keep the drawings, yeah. I have a scrapbook of all of them. And it was really fun to see not only what their favorite scene was, but their interpretation of it.
Oh my gosh. So what were the coolest ones that you have to get
There's a scene in there when they're walking into the western sun, and it's gonna sound gruesome, but their eyes burn. Okay. Kind of as a way of moving from the physical realm to the spiritual. So being able to see the different realms. And so there were a lot of those. That was their favorite scene. So some of them would have this gigantic sun and then people like in pain. But other kids drew the two characters, but then this whole other world that they're able to see now. So it was really neat just to see that was a big one. And then the Bridge of the Dead was a big one, which is a real legend, that when you cross over, you cross the Bridge of the Dead, and on that bridge is every animal that you've ever mistreated that tries to knock you off the bridge, so you can't cross over. And on your side is every animal you've ever loved. So so those animals, they help you get across the bridge. And so that's kind of a turning point in the book between Whisper and Ian, the man she's helping, to see what kind of person he is and what kind of person she is, and how their beliefs kind of help them across the bridge. But that was a big scene the kids drew as well.
That is amazing. That's so
And I have people who have read that book and they will email me or message me, and I said, I just stepped on a spider. Like, now is it going to come back to me, like, on the bridge? And so I guess I'm thinking about it, though, so it's nice.
That's great. Yeah. That's wonderful feedback with that. And thank you for sharing that knowledge, because I think that's just fascinating, and it makes sense, too. And, you know, when I do a spiritual work and I'm doing healing work on souls and things, I work with a lot of the Egyptian gods and goddesses, and I literally see the spiritual body being taken by the beautiful, they're like water barriers, and they come in and they literally take the soul on a boat and take them into the pyramid to do work with them. And it's like, you know, do they come across any troubles along the way? Is the water rough or choppy? Like, what's going on with that? So that's just amazing. Like, I love that you put that in there, and the kids are obviously getting something out of it, and everybody knows I'm all for the children, so I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And I wrote these books specifically so a younger audience could read them. Obviously, not everyone can read Damsel Not.
I have to say it. really, really good.
Because that one's my first romance, so that one's not for the kids. But these books, I wanted younger readers to be able to read them, and for me to actually be able to tell parents, yes, it's appropriate for your kids, and they'll get something out of it.
I think that's awesome, and you're helping to shift the community too by doing that. So that's amazing. So, Love, I'd love for you to explain to our viewers too. What inspired you to start writing? Like, what was it? Something that you noticed when you were younger? Was it something that you saw pen and paper and you had all these, creative, imaginational ideas, and you're like, oh, I better write this down? Or how did it happen?
It's something that I've always done. I actually started writing poetry. That was what I got my start in, and I fell in love with it. I don't really write it so much now, but so I moved from that into short stories when probably about 5th, 6th grade. And of course, at the time, I thought these are the best things ever written.
Yes.
And I look back on them now and I think, oh my God, they were terrible. But actually, my mom was really supportive. She read everything and she was like, next bestseller. So she kind of helped foster that love of writing as well, and just kept going. I always say that I tried out a lot of things, like Girl Scouts and a poor attempt at soccer, all kinds of things. But writing was always the one thing I came back to. And so that was always been my goal, was to have at least one published book, and now it's been upwards of 13.
That's
So
amazing.
Still going.
I love it. Well, I was going to ask you, to our viewers tuning in, do you have a new book you're working on currently?
I have several.
Actually, last August, I signed with a company called Permuted Press, and they are specifically horror books, dystopian, that type of thing. So I'm working on a 5-book series for them, and those will come out starting November 2016. So I wrote the first one, just sent it in actually last Sunday.
Did you?
And
Congratulations.
thank you. So I'm working on the second one right now, and then the rest will follow. And then I have my own books on the side. I have a book called Fragile Creatures, about a girl whose father passes away, and she doesn't take it well, and she kind of acts out, and she's sent to a program for troubled teens that takes place at a wildlife conservation area, and it's about kind of her healing journey. So I'm working on the sequel to that one right now.
Deep. That sounds really
So the sequel to that one takes them to Africa at a conservation preservation there, and kind of her continuing that journey.
Wow, that's so impressive.
So those are the ones I'm working on now.
That's wonderful. That'll keep you so busy.
Oh, yeah.
I know that you're a thinker and you're constantly thinking about, what can I write next and what can I do next, and that's just going to keep everything flowing so lovely for you. So that's really exciting.
Yep.
And you also have your own editing company
I do.
called Red Road, and I'm really excited about it. So how did that come about? Obviously, with all your beautiful gifts you have.
Red Road Editing was, well, it's funny because when I was younger, I always said I wanted to open a literary agency or editing company.
Okay.
It's kind of weird probably for a 6-year-old to want to be like, I want to be an editor. But I've always loved it. I've always loved just the way words work together. That's one thing I really pride myself on in my books, is my style and the way that I weave everything together. And I've always been the type of person who reads about grammar for fun. Like, I like to read about, why we put semicolons here and how to structure a paragraph. It's just one of those things.
God bless you.
Yep. Someone's got to do it.
Yes.
And a friend of mine, an author friend of mine, asked me to edit her book, and I did, and I loved it. And just kept going from there. And I told myself, I'll give myself a year and see how it goes. And if it goes well, we'll keep doing it. If not, just scrap the idea and write. And I ended up getting a lot of clients. So started off, I was just editing, and then I actually turned it into Red Road Editing.
I think that's wonderful.
It's been going for a couple years now.
That's wonderful. So I'm going to let our viewers know that I have some things in the works as far as writing goes myself. So I'm going to be knocking on your door, Kristina, and being like, I got some stuff for you. So I'm excited when
Family discount.
Exactly. I'll take that. But I know that, everything that you do and everything that you put out is just so wonderful. And I just think it's so great that you're following your inspiration and your drive and your dedication and your dreams with it, because, it's easy to get swayed off your path with things. but I always see you and you're very determined.
Yep.
And you're like, if I want something, I'm gonna go after it and I'm gonna do it myself, and that's how I roll. And I love that about you.
And that's where actually Red Road comes from. Walking the Red Road is a common term when it comes to like following your heritage. And so this book, Walk the Red Road, was written far before the editing business came about. And the book is about Whisper doing just that, you know, not straying from that path of what her destiny is and what her culture is. And that kind of turned that into Red Road editing, you know, what I love to do and following that. And so it kind of all plays into the books as well as, you know, what is the Native American culture. A lot of it is storytelling. And more of it is an oral tradition. But these days it's not a tradition that's really celebrated. So I write them down instead. You know,
I think that's wonderful.
A lot of my books have some element of Native American, you know, mythology or legends or something in them. So it's important to me that I do that.
I love that. And I think, again, I just want to emphasize the fact that, you know, if you have a dream and you have an inspiration to do something, even as a young age and a child of 5 or 6, you know, don't toss that idea away, because everybody's got their own thing here. And I think it's really important that, you know, all of our culture and humanity realizes that we all have something to give. And if we just follow that light and we follow that path, something beautiful will come out of it. Something beautiful will blossom. And I've got a perfect, beautiful rose next to me, and she is just flourishing beyond belief. And I'm just so excited to see all the things that are going to unfold for you and that already are for you. And I just think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you, love, do you have any, you know, goals or ultimate dreams that you would like to share with our audience, like where you would like to take it from here? Because I know you're a thinker, and I know you like to move energy like me. Do you have anything you'd like to share with our audience?
One of my goals as a writer is actually to write a book in every genre. A lot of authors, they kind of stick to one, like they stick to romance or fantasy or young adult, and I am all over the place. So I mean, I have a romance and I have a horror series and I have Native American books. So that's my ultimate goal, is to have one in every genre. So it's kind of whatever inspiration strikes me first is what I say, okay, well now we'll flip to suspense and see what happens there. And I would like that to be what I'm known for. Kind of just, you never know what you're going to get. And I've had people tell me that before. That's what they really like about the books, is that from one book to the next, you never know what's going to happen. It could be a happily ever after. It could be everyone dies. Like, you just never know. You never know. And I know that this is a dream for a lot of writers. One day, and it's not a dream, it's going to happen.
I love that you say that in correct, because it will happen.
I want Fragile Creatures, the one that I was saying with the girl who goes to the animal conservation area, and Beyond the Western Sun. Both of those, I'm making them into movies one day.
Oh, give me 5. I love it. If I can support you in any way, you know I will, because they are meant to be out there, and not just to read, but to see.
So that's my kind of long-term goal. Is anyone who knows me knows I'm a major movie junkie. I love them. I watch the same movies hundreds of times, but I like to read about them. Like I research them and I see how things are done. You know, how do they make this look this way, or why do they pick this actor over that actor? It's a weird hobby. But I like to think it's research.
I love it. That's great.
I'm going to the movies for research.
We can use that one, huh? We can use that pass. I love it. I also want to extend upon the fact that I think it's really great that you want to be so versatile in this industry, because, you know, that way you are creating something for everybody in all different age groups, and you're reaching them and you're touching them and they're soaking in the words that you're writing, and that's so important. I mean, if you can be versatile and go from one extreme to the other, like you mentioned, I think that's like the golden ticket. You know, you're not just, you know, staying on one little strict path. You're spreading your wings. You're allowing yourself to fly, and you're allowing yourself to soar. And I promote that. I think it's wonderful.
It's a lot of fun.
Thank you again so much, love, for coming on Angel Air today.
Thank you for asking.
I'm just so excited to have her on, and I know that she is bound to do wonderful things. And you heard her say about movies. So if you're watching this now and you see on the big screen what's gonna come up and pop up next, and be like, oh my gosh, I remember her. She was on Angel Air, and look at all her books and what she's accomplishing. And I think that's just wonderful. It's fantastic.
Someday.
It's pretty soon, I'm sure. So thank you so much, beautiful Angel Air listeners and viewers, for tuning in today. And I just really want to expand upon the fact that, you know, you can use your creative side to do anything that you want. And don't limit yourself, because if you limit yourself, you could be missing out on some of the most biggest, beautiful opportunities that want to present themselves to you. And this girl, again, is a perfect example of how she takes her opportunities and she runs with it. So I just want to say, from my heart, soul, and spirit, thank you so much for tuning in to Angel Air today. May you all have a beautiful, blessed, and lovely day. Thank you.